Welcome. My name is Michael Ketchum. I'm a senior financial reporting accountant in reporting, planning, and analysis. And today I'm going to give you a few tools and tips to help you with your daily activities. In my background prior to coming to Mississippi State, I have about 7 years of experience in the accounting field, most of that being in public accounting, doing taxes and auditing. And prior to that, I was graduated here at State with a bachelor's degree in accounting and a master's in professional accounting. Then got my CPA license and have been here currently in my current position for 4 years. So just some of the things we want to look at today will kind of give you hopefully some tips and help you do your daily activities more efficiently and effectively. So as you can see here, we've got an agenda for what I want to go over today. The first is just kind of the duties of reporting, planning, and analysis. And then next, I will give you an overview of the FOPR acronym. Then we'll review the process for setting up employees to key online journal vouchers. Then next, I'll do a little live navigation on some of the most common banner forms and reports that we think would be helpful to you. And then we'll kind of look at an overview of the website and some of our frequently asked questions. So, what does reporting, planning, and analysis do? Probably the most important thing you need to know about us is we deal with all funds that aren't restricted funds and aren't foundation funds. So your restricted funds would be handled by sponsored programs accounting. Those are all your funds beginning in a 3 or an 8. And then all your foundation funds are obviously handled through the foundation. Anything else, designated plant funds, E&G, stuff like that, we handle. Journal vouchers and things of that nature. Some of the things we do on a daily basis would include maintaining the chart of accounts. So if you need a new designated fund set up, a new org set up, something of that nature, you can contact us and we'll get that set up for you. We also process journal vouchers. Something we'll discuss later is departments processing their own, but for those departments that don't process their own, we take care of that for them. We maintain the general ledger, so we look for any errors or things that need to be corrected and get those corrected. We maintain the VP table, which sorts and kind of helps sort the monthly maintenance, monthly activity reports. So this would be like your mail stop or your contact for those different funds. We can get that corrected if you have corrections for that. We also prepare feed documents. So this would be some of your bigger journal vouchers that we would take too long to key. We can feed that through Excel document. And then we also reconcile your payroll liability accounts. So reporting retirement payable, things of that nature, we make sure everything's correct on that. And then last and probably our biggest chore is producing the annual financial statements at the end of the fiscal year, which ends June 30th. We get that all put together and then work with the auditors to get any corrections made. So the first thing is the FOPR acronym. I'm sure at some point you've probably heard somebody mention this acronym. So I just want to kind of go through what each letter stands for. The first thing you got here is your fund, which is the F. That is basically just your major money source, where this money is coming from. The main one you got on campus would be the 10 fund, which of course is just your main E&G, where all your appropriations and things of that nature go. So second, you've got the O, which is the organization code. This will tell us what department that's coming from. So for example, any org starting in 01 is your College of Agriculture. Next, you've got your account code, which for all accountants, that's just your basic expenses, revenues, assets, and liabilities. And then next, for the P, you've got your program code. This will tell us what function this entry has. So for example, a 01 is your education, and then 02 would be research. So that would be the main ones you're going to see. So these last two in the acronym, the A and the L, the first one is activity code. These aren't used as much. You will see them every now and then. Activity code is used a lot by MAFIS to group their projects by federal group number, federal project number. So they use that a lot, but other than that, you really won't see it too much. And then the last one is only used by budget and payroll. This is the location code. This is just a 6-digit number for each position within the university. So for example, my position, senior accountant, has a 6-digit code associated with that budget and payroll uses to post the payroll documents. So next thing I'll talk about is department-initiated journal vouchers. First off, we'll just start at the basics. What is a journal voucher? A journal voucher is just your basic entry showing where you want to get something posted. Of course, you've got your debits and your credits on that entry. These should equal at the bottom. And then you've got your FOPL on there that shows your fund and all that important information. So who needs access to be able to key your own journal vouchers? Really, the main people that need it are the people that are the departments that are processing, lots of JVs throughout the month. If you only process 4 or 5, we feel like you can keep sending them to us, and that would be the most efficient and effective way. But if you've got multiple journal entries throughout the month, we can grant you this access to be able to key your own, and it eliminates having to enter the JV twice, because you have to enter it on form and then we enter it in Banner. So how can you get this access? If you go to ITS's website, under Banner Request Forms, there's 2 forms. One of them is the instructions on how to fill out the request form, and then the other one is the actual request form. So if you go there and fill out that information on the form, and then you can email it back to Amy Birchfield, and we will get this processed and set up for you. Once it is processed, you will receive a document prefix, which is just a 2-letter prefix that will go in front of all your documents. And then you also receive a rule code, which will tell the document how to route through approval. So this is a 4-digit code that you'll enter when you do your JVs, and that'll tell it where to go when it leaves your queue to tell who to approve it. All right, so next you can see here I've got some Banner forms and reports. I won't read them all out because you can read there, but this is kind of the part where I'm going to go through a little live navigation on some of these screens, just to kind of give you an idea so you can see firsthand kind of what these screens look at and how to use them. So the first screen I'll look at is FGIDOCR. And what this screen will show you is, this is a screen that will show you all journal vouchers that have been posted. So if you see at the top where it says document number, you can enter your document number here. So I'm just going to enter that, and then if you hit this OK button or Go button, it will take you and show you the actual journal voucher. As you can see there, it's got all the entries listed, all your debits and your credits. It's got your fund, your org, all that information for each line item. So you can go through there and look at it and see maybe you're looking for a specific entry that's hit your FOPL, so you can see that entry. And then if you want to see the actual details behind that, you can go up here to Extender. And for an extender, this is only for documents that's posted within the controller's office. So mainly it'll be our documents, which will begin in RR, and then sponsor program posts some, and also Treasury posts some. But for the documents we post will be the main thing I'm looking at. These are hard documents. You'll be able to go in and open that document in Extender, and it will give you all the backup documentation that we received from the other departments. So the first page will always just be a summary page showing you all the line items, just like you saw on the previous screen. And then you can scroll through each page behind that, and it'll give you that backup documentation where you can see what the department sent in. You can see who sent it in, and kind of know who to contact if you've got questions about that specific document. So Extender can be very helpful for that. So we encourage you to use that. And again, that's just through this FGIDOCR. You've got an Extender button right here at the top. If you click that, it'll open up another tab to show you that information. So now I'm going to go back here to the home screen. For the next screen is FGIBDST. And this screen is most useful for your budgeted funds. So obviously the main one would be your 10 fund. So I'll just pull up that information. You've got your organization, which I'm going to enter all 9s. That's just a control org we use. And then I'll enter the 10 fund. And again, just like the other, you hit go. And it will pull up all your revenues and expenses posted under that fund org combination. It'll give you a list of them. It's got your account number, your title. Of course, you can see adjusted budget, and then how much what your year-to-date activity is, any commitments that may be on that, and then it'll give you your remaining balance for that specific account. There may be multiple pages that you need to scroll through, but it'll have them all listed here. And again, this screen is mainly important for your budgeted funds. So you can go in and look to see how much remaining budget that you have. So if you have a specific account on this screen, let's say you want to see the transactions. Let's just say for this account right here, say you want to see the transactions within that total amount. You can click on the account, go to related, and then transaction detail information, and it will actually pull up all the transactions that go into that total amount. So you may be looking for a specific transaction, so you can go in here and see the amount, what document that was posted on, what date, all that important information, any description that might help you determine what that is or what that might be for. So then I'm just going to exit back out. You're back here to the FGI BDST screen. Another thing that you can also do from here, if you want to see like a summary of all these accounts, you've got each individual, how much remaining budget you have. But if you want to see a summary, you can go here to budget summary information, and it'll give you that total for your revenue, total for labor, and then total for expenses over here in the far. You've got your available remaining balance. So a lot of these screens have several screens behind it that can give you maybe more detailed information, or in some cases give you more of a summary information of the stuff that you're looking at. So it's important, just a lot of times when you're on a certain screen, to look up here at this related, just to see what's kind of behind it, to see what other kind of information you could possibly pull on that particular screen. So next screen we will look at is FGI BAVL. And this screen is very similar to the screen we were just looking at. Really the major difference here, again, this is going to be for your budgeted funds, but the major difference here is it will give you just a total available balance for that fund or combination. It doesn't break it down by account, or it doesn't break it down by revenue and expense, but it just gives you a total available balance. So that screen can be definitely useful in that situation. One thing that this amount does include that your BDST does not include is your pending documents. So if you have a document that's in the process of being approved but hasn't yet been approved, it will be included in this available balance. And one way you can see those, if you go to related and go to pending, this particular fund does not have any pending documents. But if you were to have pending documents, they would show up here. It would give you a list of all the documents that are sitting out there that have been keyed in but have not been approved for this particular fund or org. All right, so next we're going to move over to kind of the balance sheet side of things. This first screen we'll look at is FGI TBAL. And it's going to be similar to your other screens in that you're going to enter a fund. You will not have to enter an org in this situation. For this screen, it will only be a fund. And this screen is really more important for your non-budgeted funds. So we're going to look at a designated fund, just to kind of give you an idea of what you're looking for on this screen. So you enter your fund over here, and then you hit go. And it will pull up all your balance sheet accounts. You can see here you've got your claim to cash, receivables, prepaid, things of that nature. It's got your beginning balance, which is the beginning balance as of the beginning of the fiscal year, whether it's a debit or a credit. And you've got your current balance, which should be your current balance as of today, everything that's posted to that account. The main account you want to be looking at here is your cash account. So for designated funds, you want to be seeing if you have available cash as opposed to looking at your available budget. So for this particular fund, you can see we've got a debit balance in the cash. So that is a good thing. We do have available cash to spend for this particular fund. So again, this is important when you're looking at all non-budgeted funds, particularly your designated funds, when you're trying to determine to make sure you have available cash to spend. And again, just like the other screens, we've got related screens here. You can see the detail just like on the other screen. Just click the account you want, click related, and general ledger activity info, and it'll pull up all the activity in that makes up that particular balance. So you can see there the date posted, your document number, description, and amount. So if you're looking for a particular entry, that could be helpful to you. All right, so next screen again would be another screen that would be important when you're looking at non-budgeted funds. This is FGI TBSR. And this screen is very similar to the previous screen we just looked at. You'll enter your fund again, fiscal year, hit go, and it'll pull up those same accounts. Really the only difference here is, if you see down here at the bottom, it's got current fund balance. So this is your current fund balance as of today. In the previous screen, you had to manually calculate that balance to figure out where you stood. But to this screen, it will bring in your current year activity to give you a current day balance. All right, so the next few screens we'll look at are more of what we call processes. So instead of giving you an actual output on your screen, these are things you could print to paper, or you could email it, or you could print it to a database. These are what you call your ledger sheets. The first one is FWR EXDP. And this will be your ledger screen or your ledger sheet for your non-budgeted funds, so your non-E&G funds. When you first enter it, it'll come to this screen. You don't have to change anything, just click go. And then you'll come to this screen. So here is where you go enter your parameters. You can see here at the top, we've got your printer. So, and these are kind of split into three different sections. You got this top section for printer, your parameters here in the middle, and then here is your submission section. So in your first section, you've got your printer. Here you've got three different options. You can first, if you want it to print in a paper form, you can just enter your printer name here, and that'll send it to your printer. You can also type the word email here. If you type that word email, this will email a copy of the report to your MS State email. You will also have to go down below in special print and enter your email address. And then, like I said, once it gets done processing, it'll send directly to your email. And the third option is to print the report to a database, which I'll show you here in a minute how to retrieve the reports. But so we're going, for our example, enter database here and print it to the database. And then you're going to alt page down to go to your next section for your parameters. So for these non-budgeted funds, well, of course, always you're going to enter just your accounting year. So that's just going to be your 2-digit fiscal year, which for my example will be the current year, which is 19. You've got a starting posting period and an ending posted period. If you want to do just 1 month, you're going to do, 01 would be July, and then on through June, which would be 12. But I'm going to do 01 through 06. VP code, this will pull all VP codes if you leave that % sign, so that's what we normally do. Then you're going to enter your fund. So I'm going to do this one. For organization code and program code, for your non-budgeted funds, just leave these at 0s and 9s. That way it will pull all information on that fund, and you will be able to have the correct balance on your balance sheet that prints out with it. So again, all that information stays the same. You'll alt page down one more time. This will bring you down to the submission section, and you can click save. And when you click save, it'll either print if you enter the printer name, it'll send it to your email if you entered email, or for our example, it will go to the database, which again, I will show you how to retrieve in one second. So the next screen is really identical to that screen we just looked at. The only difference is this screen is for your ENG funds, and the call-up acronym is FWREXEG. And again, you will just hit go here because that'll automatically enter in. I mean, it's basically all your same information. You've got database in the printer. You've got the same options there. You can do any of the three. Of course, fiscal year, all that same information, posting period, fund. I mean, like I said, it's exactly the same. You just have to use this one to process your ENG funds instead of the other one. So, as I mentioned, we use this database. So now I'm going to show you how to go and retrieve any reports you print to that database. So if you go to GJIREVO, hit enter. So this is what you'll first come up with. You'll probably have some kind of red mark here, but just ignore that. Hit this over here on process, hit the 3 dots, and it will, if you have a number there, you'll have to delete it out. That's the problem it's giving me. But if you hit your 3 dots, it will pull up all your reports that you have printed to the database recently. Obviously, I've done some other printing to this, so you can see all my reports that I've printed, but you can go here and find your report name to find the one you just printed, and you may have to go to the second page. You'll just be looking for the time, so you can see there, I know this is the one I printed. Make sure you do print the one that has .lis. The .log is just a log of information that will not be what you're looking for, so make sure you click the version that's the .lis. So as you can see here, it'll show my printed report. It's got the detailed information first, which will show just each transaction that went into each account. And then if you scroll through those to the end, you've got a balance sheet account or page. So you can see there you've got your cash and then your fund balance. And then the very last page will be your summary page for your revenue and expenses. So this will show your budgeted amount, your realized amount, which is your year-to-date entries, and then your current month. So that'll just show if you're just printing out 1 month, what that current month, how many transactions you had, and then it'll have your available balance at the end. And again, these are the ledger sheets that you print out each month. According to policy 61.01, these are to be reconciled monthly and signed off on by a preparer. You can see reconciled by and a date, and then it needs to be approved and reviewed by one of your superiors. These are, according to Mississippi State policy, to be reconciled monthly in a timely basis. So that would be that information that you need. So, all right, so last thing is I'm going to show you our web page. This will give you just a kind of little overview of our web page and what information you can find there. Really the easiest way to get there is if you go to the Mississippi State homepage, and then you just type in the word records, and it will pull up this records and reporting, and this will bring you to our web page. So as you can see across the top here, we've got several tabs. So I'm just going to kind of go through some of these. First, you got your financial statements. So this has your financial statements for several prior years. You can click on and see these financial statements, flip through and look at whatever you want to look at there. You can see we've got 64 pages here just for your reading enjoyment. So you can scroll through those from past years. Then down below that, we have what you call year-end summaries. And for some of you folks who've been around for a while, this is kind of your fund statements that we used to have to do, but it'll show you that same information in a little bit different format. You can see you've got your cash and different items here for current funds, and you got your loan funds restricted. So it kind of breaks it down a little more for you to give you some of the more detail behind that. So next we'll look at the Forms tab. This has just got some of your forms that we use to process different information. The first one here is to establish a designated fund request. If you needed to establish a designated fund, you would print this out, fill out the information, get the appropriate signatures, and then forward back to us. You've got an interdepartmental journal voucher. So this is the form you would use if we still process your journal vouchers. You would print off this form, fill it out, again, get appropriate signatures, and forward back to us. Department head change, and these last two would be establishment of plant funds. So if you've got some capital assets or something in the works, you would need to establish a plant fund, and again, just fill that out, signatures, and send back to us. Next, you've got your monthly activity reports. So this just has each month's activity report. This will tell you, if you pull up one of these, this will tell you the funds that you need to reconcile for that month, the funds that had activity. And you can see here, you can search this by either department head, mail stop, contact, any of that information to find your funds that you're associated with and that need to be reconciled. We send those out monthly. There's an email that gets sent out through Banner List that will kind of give you that information and let you know when that's out there. Next, we got a tab for plant funds. This will just kind of give you a little bit of the procedures and know when you need to set up a plant fund and when you need just a normal designated fund. Next, we have training resources. You can see here we've got a walkthrough of the journal voucher entry. So if your department is keying their own journal vouchers, you can go in and kind of listen to a Camtasia video of how to work through that process. We've got a list of all the current document prefixes. So if you've got a document on your ledger that you're not sure where it came from, you can come here and it'll tell you the two letters that correspond with that document, and it'll tell you who processed that. So you can give them a call to ask. We've got a list of all the active revenue and expense accounts. We've got that same overview of the FOPL that I went over earlier. Transfer codes you can look at, and the VP code list, which will give you that breakdown, and then a user guide for Banner. Then next we've got a list of our staff. As you can see here, we've got lists of their phone numbers and email. Feel free to contact any of us if you have any questions. And then last on the website, we've got frequently asked questions. Just some of the ones I wanted to look at just very briefly is, let's see, when is the last day to enter a document to be posted to the previous month? So we closed the month on the 4th business working day at 8 o'clock in the morning. So in the following month. So say, for example, in February, we closed that month, the 4th working day of March at 8 o'clock in the morning. So it needs to be posted really by that 3rd working day, unless you're coming in early to get that processed before 8 a.m. The only exception to that is June, which is the end of our fiscal year. For that month, we normally do give probably about 10 business working days just to make sure we can get everything posted that needs to be posted to the correct fiscal year. All right, and then the other thing which I mentioned, talking about if you have a document posted to your ledger that you're not sure where it came from, you can look at the document prefix on the beginning of that document and go back to the training resources, and I'll just pull up that list to show you. But under training resources, it's got a list of all those documents. So say, for example, you've got a BC document. It'll say BC and then have some numbers after it. You'll know you need to contact the Blindness and Low Vision Center, and then we've got a contact here who you can contact them to figure out what that specific entry was for and get some more details on that entry. As you can see behind me, I've got my contact information here. Please feel free to contact me by phone or email, and thank you for your time.